It's September 13th, 2023. It's This Week in Comics. Hey everyone, it's September 13th, 2023. It's This Week in Comics. I'm your host, Dustin Drive, for the Two Birds Stoned, at Two Birds Stoned 815 on TikTok and YouTube. We've got a lot of number ones to get to, a couple of trades to review this week, as well as plenty of issues, including a few I missed over the weeks. Let's go.
Batman and Robin number 1, written by Joshua Williamson with art by Simone DeMeo.
Alright guys, in this series, Damian and Bruce have moved in together into a penthouse somewhere outside the mansion, and whoo, there's tension. Bruce is hell-bent on Damian going to high school and having a normal teenage life, but Damian knows he's too smart for that and wants to just fight crime. I was really excited for this book, guys, but now I'm not too sure. It reminds me of what Williamson did on Night Terrors, where there's a lot of good ideas, but there is a certain lack of execution. Plus, there's a little bit of style over substance, especially with some of the art in this. Batman and Robin number 1 gets off to a rough start for me, 6.5 out of 10.
Daredevil number 1, written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Aaron Kuder and Jesus Abertov.
By the grace of God, Matt Murdock has returned. After sacrificing himself to the Beast to save him and his family suffering through eternity, he has been brought back. And while he has been brought back, he doesn't quite remember everything from his previous life. He does have glimpses, he has rumblings, he has everything, but he doesn't quite remember. With some help from Elektra, an attack by a demon, and some of his memories returning, I love this issue. It has clean and distinct art. It's intriguing from beginning to end. Daredevil number 1, I will continue reading, is an 8 out of 10.
Batman, Gargoyle of Gotham, written and drawn by Rafael Grampa.
I will note off the bat that I grabbed the Noir edition, so I'll show you what the difference is here in a second, but I did grab a different edition. In this book, Gordon is investigating a string of serial murders, while a younger Batman is investigating a new crying villain. Bats also has a plan to kill off Bruce Wayne so he can fight crime full-time, although Alfred definitely does not want Bruce to be swallowed by the bat. As you can see here, this is what the Noir edition looks like. It's a lot of black and white, red for the blood and everything like that. So the Noir edition, black and white with some red for blood. This is a great book with a distinct art style that kind of does its own thing with Batman, its own versions, its own style. Rafael Grampa's Gargoyle of Gotham is easily an 8 out of 10. Definitely pick this up whichever edition you get.
Avengers Incorporated, written by Al Ewing, art by Leonard Kirk and Alex Sinclair.
When 6 minor villains are killed in the raft, Luke Cage comes to Janet Van Dyne to investigate their murders. One of them is Whirlwind, who is one of her arch nemesis. However, Whirlwind ends up rising from the dead and calls himself Victor Shade, which is the human alter ego of the Vision. Commissioned to solve the string of murders, Janet agrees, but only if the newly resurrected Vic is able to help her. This book is a murder mystery superhero style. It has a lot of minor characters in it and a lot of intrigue. I actually really enjoyed it, although it is a different style of book. Avengers Incorporated is a 7.5 out of 10.
Werewolf by Night, written by Derek Landy with art from Fran Galan.
This is a shorter review, but I did really enjoy this issue. In it, Elsa Bloodstone and Jack Russell go to a castle to save a little girl. It has an art design all its own. It's got creepy monsters. It's got tons of action. It even has a little bit of romance. Werewolf by Night number 1 is an 8 out of 10.
Alligator Loki number 1, written by Alyssa Wong, art by Bob Quinn and Pete Patassis.
This is a simple and cute comic with apropos art. It's a lot like the It's Jeff comics that are out there. It's fun, it's funny, it's got a bunch of little adventures in it. Alligator Loki number 1 is a 7 out of 10.
Venom Manual number 1, written by Alyssa Wong, art by Sergio Davila and Cece De La Cruz.
It's Venom versus Deadpool in the latest Contest of Chaos matchup. This is a hilarious issue, especially with Deadpool in it. Now remember, Clea and Agatha were in the astral plane, and they finally have it out, but Agatha continues on her path. There's only 2 annuals left until we have a new Darkhold. Venom Annual number 1 is an 8 out of 10.
The Plot Holes number 1, written by Sean Murphy, art by Sean Murphy, Matt Hollingsworth, and Dave Stewart.
This book is as interesting as it is confusing. Now, the idea is genius. It's characters from a bunch of other books that didn't get published who work to edit and save other books so that they can be published. How that works exactly takes a suspension of disbelief, but a lot of comics do, so that's not asking too much. But like the great Detective Columbo before me, something's not quite working up here. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's something just slightly off with this comic to start. It does have grand art, it does have grand scale, and it is a great idea. The plot holes #1 is a 7.5 out of 10.
Local Man Gold #1 by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleeks.
Crossjack and his team from the past arrive in the future where Jack is just the local man right now trying to solve mysteries. They need a time paradox in order to make it back to their original timeline. And guess who it is? It's Joan from Love Everlasting, the Tom King series in Image. Trying not to create paradoxes, but hating his younger self, Jack works to complete the mission because he wants to get it done before Mother's Day. There's more lore in the backup story, which is the cover that I held up before. And yeah, I just love this book, guys. Local Man Gold #1 is an 8.5 out of 10.
The Enfield Gang Massacre #2 by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips.
This comic unfortunately just isn't for me. I like westerns, I like comics, I don't like this comic. It's a 5 out of 10 and I'm done reading it.
The Cole #2, written by Kelly Thompson with art by Mentia Evelis.
More backstory and interpersonal relationships are revealed as the group ventures into the unknown. I'm still not entirely sure what's happening, but I do find it fascinating and the art is very gripping. It only has 5 issues, so it does have some legwork to do, but the Cole #2 is a 7.5 out of 10.
World's Finest Teen Titans #3, written by Mark Waid, art by Manuela Lupacchino and Jordi Belair.
The Titans go to TitansCon against the wishes of Robin, while Dick and Bruce argue over what the best course of action was with the con, or even is with the con. Wild fans, crazed in the case of Bumblebee, a Saved by Robin, more joy and fun, with a hint of sadness. This issue has strong art, strong style, strong story. World's Finest Teen Titans #3 is an 8 out of 10.
Green Lantern #3, written by Jeremy Adams, art by Hermenico and Romulo Fajardo Jr., with the John Stewart backup story written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Muntos and Adriana Lucas.
Sinestro returns with a bang, and he is coming for Hal. What exactly does he want? We're not too sure yet. The backup story sets up John Stewart's War Journal, which is going to come out later this month. I don't know, guys. This is my first Green Lantern comic ever, and I gotta say, I absolutely love it. It's world class in terms of storytelling, in terms of stakes, in terms of scope. Green Lantern #3 is an 8.5 out of 10.
Waller vs. Wildstorm #3, written by Spencer Ackerman and Evan Narcisse, art by Jesus Marino, Vicente Cifuentes, and Michael Atiyah.
It's Slade Wilson versus Jackson King as Lois continues to investigate the Cupertino Industries. The art and the action in this book are world class, and the story is really starting to pick up. Well crafted and immaculately drawn, Waller vs. Wildstorm #3 is an 8 out of 10.
The Incredible Hulk #4, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Travel Foreman and Matthew Wilson.
Charlie and Banner arrive in Florida near where Man-Thing resides. Banner shows Charlie that she has actually accomplished quite a bit in her life, and she really doesn't need the Hulk before he ditches her. Little does Banner know, there's a lot more trouble on the horizon for Charlie. Man-Thing ends up pulling Banner into the Nexus to talk because the Eldest is sending monsters after Banner, and one of those actually shows up right in front of Charlie to end the issue. Dark, moody, and plenty of plot, The Incredible Hulk #4 is an 8 out of 10.
Superman Lost #6, written by Christopher Priest with art by Carlo Pagulian and Jeremy Cox.
Clark manages to finally unite the planet against himself. The planet wants him gone. Now, Clark also learns the truth about Hope, and the two finally do battle. And Clark manages, with the help of the people, to escape the planet finally. However, a last page reveal shows maybe Clark shouldn't have done that. This is a great Superman comic, and I think I'm saying this a lot this week, but there's grand scale, there's grand scope, and there's a lot of good art in this issue. Superman Lost #6 is an 8.5 out of 10.
Danger Street #9, written by Tom King with art by Dave Stewart and Jorge Fornes.
The cover shows what this issue is about as our two knights meet above a rooftop to finally do battle. Now guys, this is the most Tom King of Tom King issues in this series as the two discuss what it's like to be an assassin, the business, the outcomes, and everything like that, all while doing battle. Is it interesting? Absolutely. Is it good? Danger Street #9 is a 7.5 out of 10.
The Batman and Scooby-Doo Mysteries, written by Ivan Cohen, art by Franco Risello and Dario Brizulla.
In this issue, Strange captures Mystery Inc. and uses brainwaves to make them think they're in the future to try to reveal the identity of Batman. They get to work with Batman Beyond, and we even get a flash to the future to show that Mystery Inc. and Batman are also working together in the Batman Beyond Neo Gotham. This is one of the more entertaining issues of this series. I think it concludes here, but if it comes back, I'll definitely keep reading because it reminds me of my childhood. Hood, Batman and the Scooby-Doo Mysteries is a 7.5 out of 10. Alrighty guys, that does it for our individual issues this week. However, there are 4 trade paperbacks coming out that I have every issue to, so I'm going to offer a brief review now.
Harley Quinn the Animated Series, Legion of Bats, written by T. Franklin, art by Shea Beagle and Roberto Poggi.
This volume will collect all of the Legion of Bats storyline, which has 6 issues in it. Now, this series gets so close to nailing the tone of the show, although it doesn't come close to nailing the art by any means. It is an occasionally funny comic. However, season 4 so far has retread some of what's in these comics. Harley Quinn the Animated Series Legion of Bats is a 6.5 out of 10.
Star Wars, Sana Staros, written by Justina Ireland, art by Perry Perez and J. David Ramos.
This comic takes a deep dive into Sana and her family dynamic. It was a good series, although it was limited to only 5 issues, which kind of limited how good it could be. Star Wars, Sana Staros is a 7 out of 10.
Batman and the Joker, Deadly Duo, written by Mark Silvestri, with art by Mark Silvestri and Arif Prianto.
It was my favorite comic of 2023 so far. It's a 9 out of 10. Go pick this up in any version you can.
Black Cloak, Volume 1, written by Kelly Thompson, with art by Meredith McLaren and Becca Carey.
This comic is set in a fantasy land all its own, and it has a murder mystery all its own. This has a distinct story and style, and there is more Black Cloak to come. Black Cloak Volume 1 is a 7.5 out of 10. Alrighty guys, that is it for September 13th. Let's look ahead to the 20th. Captain America, number 1. Predator vs. Wolverine, number 1. Hexagon Bridge, number 1. What If Dark Carnage, number 1. Green Lantern War Journal, number 1. Wonder Woman, number 1. Big Game, number 3. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things, number 3. Titans, number 3. Hawkgirl, number 3. Deadpool Batter Blood, number 4. Death of the Venomverse, number 4. Loki, number 4. That's actually the end of the series. The Vigil, number 5. 007 for King and Country, number 5. Alrighty guys, we got a big week ahead on the 20th. We had a big week this week on the 13th. I'll look ahead to see some trades to see if there's any I need to review or I have collected myself. But until then, I appreciate all your support. Remember, we are at 2birdstone815 on TikTok, at 2birdstone815 on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Subscribing is the easiest way to get the video each and every week. For those of you that it's your first time, I'm your bumbling guide to all things comics. I get it wrong just as much as I get it right. And for those of you returning, you already know that. I'm Dustin Dry. It's This Week in Comics. Let's fade it to black, hit the music, see you on the 20th.